us in this room, including myself, at least once, have fallen into the trap of procrastination. A few years ago, Mel Robbins delivered a speech about the science behind people becoming stressed and why people procrastinate. She did this without overwhelming her audience with big scientific terms, and she does a terrific job providing relatable information. She also speaks about ways people can recognize and redirect themselves when they are falling into the trap. Mel Robbins uses her knowledge and understanding of science and psychology to help people like you and I become more productive. The speech was given in 2018 at the North American Summit in Portland, Oregon. An organizer for the event stated, "The North American Summit's success reinforces the devotion of leaders in working collectively to overcome shared challenges." The audience for this specific speech consisted of other adult leaders and speakers who were participating or speaking and presenting in the two-day event. Mel Robbins lives in southern Vermont. She has 3 children and has been married for 26 years. She has the #1 ranking education podcast in the world, 6 #1 audiobooks on Audible, and billions of YouTube videos reaching 150 million people alone in the past month. One of her biggest achievements is her New York Times bestseller, The High 5 Habit, and the #1 selling book titled The 5-Second Rule. She also travels around the country delivering motivational speeches to all types of people. Prior to becoming the person she is now, she was a lawyer. Mel states on her website, "For the past 7 years, I have been one of the most booked speakers in the world, and I have had the honor of working with the world's leading brands. I don't consider myself a speaker, I consider myself your partner. That's why everything I do is deeply personal and customized to the objectives of your event." The significance of the speech then was that procrastination has always been a huge issue in our society, and if it was talked about earlier on, more people would be able to recognize it and be able to avoid it. And now it's significant because mental health is still a huge topic, and procrastination plays a huge role in that. Procrastination is linked to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and ADHD.
The WordPress membership was earning $15,000 a month. A year after.
You're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it. You see, all habits have 3 parts. There's a trigger, and in the case of procrastination, the trigger is always stress. Then there's a pattern you repeat, and in the case of procrastination, it is to avoid doing something. And then there's a reward. You get a little stress relief. The only way to break...
Alright, so that was just a little clip of her speech. Some rhetorical devices she used. The first one is a hyperbole. She emphasizes the idea of being stressed. She creates an image of a stress ball over your head and a huge list of things to get done, but you find yourself cutting corners and pushing the harder and more time-consuming tasks away from you. The next one is metabasis. This is used at the beginning of the speech when the word procrastination shows up on the screen behind Mel, and she says, "Let's talk a little bit about procrastination." At this point, she has moved on from her introduction and clearly started a new part of her speech. The last one is a hypophora. This is showed when Mel asked the question, "Who is a procrastinator?" and the audience members raise their hand, but she quickly goes on to say, "Yes, we all are, and if you aren't raising your hand, you're just procrastinating it." Next are the ethos, pathos, and logos. First is ethos. Mel makes references into her speech to the big takeaways from her popular books. The 5-4-3-2-1 method to redirect your brain is something that gets brought up in the speech and is something Mel came up with on her own and has been scientifically proven. She also states, "If it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it." That is one of the things she focuses on throughout the speech, and it's a good example of how her understanding of science can show while motivating people. Next is pathos. Mel is listing things that people commonly procrastinate, whether it be in school or in work. She provides the image of a stress bubble over your head. And for some people, this may strike them and create the idea that while you are under stress and procrastinating, you become disconnected from the things you enjoy doing, whether it be time with your family or friends or just like time outside while you're just stuck in work procrastinating doing things. The next one is logos. Mel lists 3 parts of a habit: a trigger, which is stress, the habit, which in this case is procrastination, and the reward, short-term stress relief. Then she explains what to do when you are stressed out about something. First, acknowledge the stress, then vocalize 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to interrupt the habit, and then work for only 5 minutes. She states, "We know based on research that if we can get you to start, 80% of you are going to keep going." Why will this speech endure? Mel's purpose in giving the speech is to offer ways to recognize stress and procrastination and live a more productive life. By giving the speech, Mel created an educated audience and motivated everybody that she spoke to. I believe that every human struggles with procrastination on some level, and if everybody took the time to listen to the specific speech, they would be provided with ways to manage their stress that causes procrastination. This would result in more ambitious and effective people, if everybody is encouraged to do one more task a day. And thank you for listening.